a lot of us, like myself, we became Muslims in the month of Ramadan, didn't we? Alhamdulillah. And many of us, we started to enjoy the community, we enjoyed the faith within this beautiful month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran, the month when shaitan is locked up, of course, is one of the reasons why people come to Islam during this month. Of course, the gates of heaven, Jannah, are open in this month. Gates of Jahannam are closed, according to a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah. Voice of Islam is your platform in New Zealand. Don't forget it. We're going to be here all the way through. Bi'ithna Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, salamu alaikum, Lauren.
Wa alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, here we are, almost a week gone of Ramadan. Who can believe it? And I was speaking to Brother Yusuf earlier and saying, it's kind of kicking in now. You feel it. And he was going to tell us, I think, inshallah, the 3 phases of Ramadan. Well, I'll tell you, my early phases of Ramadan are day 1 and 2. Oh my God, I'm fasting, I'm really doing it. It's like being at a fairground and you're kind of like in shock. Day 2.5 is caffeine withdrawal. So then it's like, oh, my head hurts. And then if I refuse caffeine, and I am doing it this year, inshallah, and I can talk about that for ages, but I'll just, say briefly that if I refuse caffeine, then day 3 and 4, things start to get nice. And then around day 6, 7, there's that your body's, my spirit is not resisting, but you feel a bit kind of phased out. So I don't really know, unless I write things down. I think this is an age thing as well. It kind of makes that a little bit harder. I don't know where I am. So you've got Brother Yusuf calling me an hour before going, you're on with us, don't you? And I'm like, never heard of you before. Who are you? Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah, this. Okay, alhamdulillah. So I'm really happy to be here. Just with caffeine, I think around day 6 as well, brothers and sisters in Islam and whoever's watching this out there, I get quite annoyed in Ramadan with things that control me, because you're controlling your intake by the grace of Allah, because you're saying no to things that you're normally allowed for long periods during the day. You really realize what's got its claws in you. And we all have our things. A lot of the ummah sadly smokes. So there's a lot of particularly brothers out there who are just counting off the minutes until that first cigarette. When in fact, if you haven't smoked for 10 or 12 hours, you don't need to smoke. You've already won. You've actually won. Don't have that first cigarette. So that's something that I learned. Although alhamdulillah, I gave up smoking the day that I came to Islam, because although I'd smoked since I was the age of 14, the idea of saying Allah's name with tobacco in my mouth, and mouthwash doesn't cut it, just knowing that I was going to be smoking, putting that in my mouth and then going to prayer, I couldn't do it, alhamdulillah. So yeah, I don't like coffee now, because I know that it's an addictive substance that is going to give me a headache. And it's like somebody going, have me, otherwise I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt you if you don't have me. And it's like, well, I don't want you in my life. That is a toxic acquaintance. So there you go. That's my coffee rant. Completely off the subject, which shows what I'm talking about, which is, I have no idea what's going on. It's day 6.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Well, that was for a discombobulated individual. That was pretty good. MashaAllah. Yeah, caffeine is sometimes, difficult if you're used to that. But I have to say, this year, haven't had any problems with the caffeine issue up until now. Usually there's a couple of days when in the early days, I start getting a real migraine because of it. And I do like really good quality coffee. Maybe it's the bad quality coffee that actually does that to you. I don't know. But apparently it's not good for you. We know that, subhanallah. So actually there's, I've just pulled this off the World Wide Web, I've done my research, but I've read this before, so I know it has some validity. So the body goes through different phases during the Ramadan fast. The first stage is the body starts cleansing and removing built up toxins. Now we need, obviously, to get a specialist, and that's why I'm just going to overview this. Because we'll get Anisa to talk about this. Of course, she'd be, if she's watching, she can message us. And then the second stage is the digestive system helps cleanse the body and heal any damaged cells. And then the organs start to repair the repair process. And then stage 3, energy levels increase, better concentration, which you notice probably in the latter part of it, sort of like week 2 to 3. Then your body becomes more energetic, improves memory and concentration. Body starts performing all of it to its optimum right at the end of Ramadan. And then you ruin it by having 15 Eids, and then you get back to a bad diet, don't you, brothers and sisters?
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's scientifically proven, this stuff. This fasting is something which is regeneration, and renewal. And so your body is repairing itself. And all the while, of course, you're focusing on the Quran, subhanAllah. And the Quran is giving you the spiritual food that you need in order to move forward as a mu'min, as a believer.
I love that spiritual food. So we are here to talk about revert to Ramadan and realizations. So I want to share to Brother Mohammed and Brother Yusuf. I'll ask a quick question. Guess-wise, tell me the percentage of new Muslims or Muslim converts that you know who have a Ramadan connection to their conversion story, roughly.
Oh, I think, Mohammed, over to you, mate.
Well, Assalamu alaikum. Yes, well, I know my own personal one was during Ramadan. So it was on the 17th of Ramadan, and back in 1981. But for me, I'd actually been practicing for a couple of years before even becoming Muslim, just to sort of see if I could do it or not. So, but I didn't really know how to do it properly. Even after I'd become Muslim, I'd be waiting until I got home at night, which was probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night, when iftar was 5:30. So it's just put the mental condition going and just did it. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on. And Yusuf, what's yours?
Well, yeah, and of course, yes, I became Muslim in Ramadan, and this is not a fix. I didn't know Muhammad became Muslim in Ramadan, so it just shows the significance of this month, doesn't it? Because I'd been searching for Islam for 11 years. To cut a long story short, Ramadan turns up. One of my friends, very close young lady to me, and she basically told me, look, I didn't know it was Ramadan, but she said to me, look, you can't really come around to the house anymore, and so forth. And, I said to her, well, why? She said, because it's got something to do with my religion. And I didn't realize that she was Muslim or a committed Muslim at that time. I thought it was just like, I didn't even know what Islam really was, frankly speaking. And so she sent me packing, basically, the day after I went to the Islamic Society, and then I started learning about Islam. And that happened to be the month of Ramadan. It was when I started fasting again that it was like somebody had taken me out of a dark room, taken off my blindfold, and I could see myself, I could feel what life was really all about, fasting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this beautiful month of Ramadan. That's how I became Muslim.
SubhanAllah.
So, yes.
Again, brothers and sisters, and anybody who's watching from outside of this incredible and true faith, none of us knew each other's stories about Ramadan until we asked this question today. So what we do know about this holy month is that Allah Ta'ala, the creator of all things, the one and only God of the Christians and the Jews and all humanity and all creation, has made it very clear that in these 30 days, something special happens with the universe, that the evil shayateen, as we understand them, which is a name for the whisperers, a name for the external wickedness that comes to mankind to influence them, well, those are locked up. That area of existence and reality is closed up, and at the same time, the Jannah, the heavens, the existential, the reality of goodness is opened in its abundance for all who are aware to feel some impact. All who are aware. Now, you're aware whether you know you're aware or you don't know you're aware. See, get to grips with that if you can. So that means that whether you're Muslim or not, if you're seeking, and right now everybody's seeking, why are we alive? how can things change this massively? How can I get back on track? Who's really in control? Because it's Ramadan, the gates of mercy are open, and perhaps you're more than likely to get into the slipstream towards Allah, towards true knowledge. Here's my story. So in 2008, I went to Gaza by boat with the Free Gaza movement. Now, I was a journalist. I am a journalist. At the time, I was working for the Mail on Sunday, believe it or not, incredible. And love Muslims. And 79% of all their headlines are to do with Muslims are negative, by the way. They're the worst in the UK. And there I was working for them, but I was a Muslim, so it wasn't in my radar particularly. But I went to Gaza to cover the story about the blockade, which is still ongoing, the illegal, now 13, 14 years blockade of Gaza by boat. And we got there to great fanfare. We were the first boats to arrive. And I wasn't on a spiritual journey. I was on a very, very specific journalistic and activism project. And when I got to Gaza, after the 4 days of celebrations, I was meant to leave. But something inside me said, don't leave yet. You've got work to do. There's something you need to do here. And so as the Free Gaza boats left, I was standing on the dock. Now, this was really, really strange because that was my only route to the outside world. You may not understand about the Gaza Strip, but it's completely, you can't get in. You can only go out if the Egyptians allow you out or if the Israelis allow you out. So we're talking 14-year lockdown with nothing, with only minimal health supplies and good food getting in and virtually nobody getting out. Think about that. And it's 13 miles by 4 miles, right? 13 by 14, 13 by 4. It's tiny. It's a little tiny strip of land, okay? So they're all locked in there. So I arrive and I don't go home, and I've got daughters who are aged 8 and 5 at the time, who I haven't seen for a month. And a husband over in France looking after them who's saying, when are you coming home? And I said, look, I just got a feeling I don't want to be a grief tourist. So I'm in Gaza, and then I find out that it's Ramadan, which means nothing to me. What does Ramadan in 2008 to me? It means, oh no snacks during the day. There's all that lovely Palestinian food, which I've got to like from my other trips to the West Bank, and I'm not going to get any of it. So on a purely selfish thing, I've got to run around all day, do my interviews, and nobody's going to offer me even a tea. What a rubbish month I've chosen to be in the Gaza Strip, right? These Muslims, they're normally really generous. I'm getting Jack Diddley here. So it wasn't a spiritual moment for me at all. And what I do remember is being driven around by fellow journalists, Palestinian journalists, and they're doing these long fasts, and I'm watching them go in this boiling hot heat, 12, 13 hours. And I'm feeling quite angry about the whole thing, to be quite honest, because what I'm watching is refugee camp kids who are already hungry 11 months of the year, now being extra hungry for a month a year. So I'm thinking, I'm not happy about this at all. I do remember trying to fast a couple of days, and then the brothers saying to me, or as I'd called them then, just fellow journalists, saying to me, Sister Lauren, don't fast. There's no good in it for you. If you're not doing it for the sake of God, all you're doing is going thirsty. Now, as our guest, the least we can do is give you some water. So I remember being in the back of a car and opening a bottle of water and crouching down so as not to be caught by the police who really like everybody to fast. It's a communal thing. So there was me. I was sneaking water, having the old packet of biscuits, thinking about fasting and not really getting it. And one night I went to a refugee camp, because one thing I did notice that started to move me. Oh, by the way, I ended up being there a month. The whole month I was in lockdown, because when I tried to leave after 3 days to go home, the Egyptians told me, oh, you're Lauren Booth. You want to help the Palestinians? I said, yes. They said, good news. You live in Palestine now. So what? They said, you're never leaving Gaza. And it was like, if you've ever been on one of those elevator drops you know, in a theme park. When you go 30 stories a minute, it's like that. It's like, oh God, I'm never going to see my family again. But you can't be sad about it because everybody's in a worse condition. So this one night I went to, what I was noticing about the Muslims was they were doing good deeds. It wasn't just about being hungry. They were cooking for each other with very little that they had. They were making sure that they gave clothes, and that they gave, I was with a family, for example, who, you know, they had 11 kids. The wife was like, and that's my last one, inshallah. And so her sister had a child, so they were making sure they were giving all of the clothes. And, you know, it was like, because everybody's, there's like 60% unemployment in some areas. They're all in the same poverty, but they just share clothes until they fall apart. That's what a refugee camp is. I was seeing this generosity and I thought, you know what, let me do at least one generous act. These Muslims are doing, I'll take some food to a refugee camp. So one night I go to a refugee camp in Gaza and I knock on the door and the mother opens the door like this. Assalamu alaikum, Fadal, welcome, you're most welcome, come inside. And I'm standing on the doorstep of a hovel, you know, an 18th century style, proper empty stone cell hovel. There's no other word for it. Bullet holes around the doorways. It's just really grim. And there's a couple of plates, paper plates, because there are no plates here. This is a refugee camp. But what do you have plates for? They get broken. You can't afford them. So there's paper plates for the iftar for about 11 people, and it's on the kind of reed mat on the floor. And it's, I'll never forget it. It was just some hummus and some hubs, some bread and some salad leaves. And I had brought some lamb, some hot, tasty lamb for this family. And it was going to be the only time that they'd eat meat in the whole of Ramadan, subhanAllah. So we put that to one side. And my cameraman, because I was off doing some filming that evening, said to me, I'm really sorry, don't eat their food. We will eat later. We'll get something in town or you can come to my house. But this food is for the children. And whatever you eat, the family won't eat. So I said, no problem. I won't eat. So I said to the mother, no, thank you, I'm fine. She said, Fadal, please. And I watched her put nearly all of the food onto the plate, onto the paper plate, and she gave it to me. And I said, I don't want it. I don't want to eat your food. And I looked and there were little faces peering around the only other doorway, and there were kids waiting to break their fast when the visitor left. Allahu Akbar. They would wait and to see what I'd left. And so I got really angry. I said, I don't want your food. What's wrong with you? Why would you give it to a stranger? Why don't you feed your children? Why don't you put your family first? I'm sick of all of this. I'm sick of this selflessness. I'm sick of this constant giving. I'm sick of this generosity when you have nothing. Why? Tell me why you fast in Ramadan, because I don't think your God loves you. Okay? I'm going to tell you straight now. If your God makes you hungry, if he makes you extra thirsty when you're already a refugee, I don't think he loves you. So give me a good reason why you fast. And this mother with nothing in dunya, nothing, floored me with her answer. She said, well, I fast in Ramadan to remember the poor. She didn't know she was poor. She didn't see it. Her way of getting close to Allah Ta'ala was to recognize the pain of others. Because, of course, although she presented to me, step one is to recognize the poor and be charitable and generous and, you know, give to the traveler. That step two is, and that will give you taqwa. Because you've emptied yourself of vanity and of need, and you've pleased Allah. And I thought, oh my God, if this is a faith I'm in, if there's a faith in the world that exists, where on your worst day in existence, you're willing to give the food from your children's mouths to a stranger. If there is faith that exists where you don't feel poor in a refugee camp because you know your neighbors are poorer than you and you're worried about them, if there is a faith where you can be grateful to God on a day like that, I want to be in that faith. Allahu Akbar.
Subhanallah, mashallah, jazakallah khair.
Sister Lauren. Of course, I've heard this story and I've read your book. Oh my goodness. Return to the Holy Land, is it?
Finding Peace in the Holy Land.
Finding Peace. Finding Peace. So the title says it all right. Finding Peace in the Holy Land. Beautiful book, amazing book. You've got to get it. Look it up on Google. Sheikh Google will direct you towards Lauren's story there. And it's a lot more than that. It explains all of the relationships he's got with her family, her mother, her father, who was, of course, quite a famous actor, you know, in sort of sitcom world, isn't it? And mashallah, he, you know, from all of that, and then having this desire to help the Palestinians, the miskeen, the people who were being oppressed and still being oppressed in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala release them from their oppression. God knows what it's like in the Gaza Strip right now as they're fasting, subhanallah. So beautiful. You know, I was just reading actually, Lauren, just to, you know, to give you a little bit more context, that during this month of Ramadan, on the 17th of Ramadan, which Muhammad embraced Islam on the 17th, right? The Battle of Badr was won. Okay, so the momentous occasion for the Muslims winning the Battle of Badr. Mecca was conquered during this month. Mecca was conquered.
Yusuf, can I just jump in? I'm going to jump in. We use the word conquered. We should say returned, or we should say freed. Right, freed from disbelief, because conquered is a conquest of an army who's gone in a violent way. There was no conquest of Mecca. Allah gave victory to the Muslims without a drop of blood being shed. Allahu Akbar.
Conquest, yes. With the ending of the oppression, quite right. Thank you very much for that. And then some of the other things that the people of Taif accepted Islam en masse as well during the month of Ramadan. After the Prophet Muhammad had the worst experience there of his life. He said it was the worst day that he'd ever had. He knocked on 100 doors and then he got stoned by street urchins, and he was forcibly removed from there, and he walked for 2.5 days, and the angels came to him, and then they said to him, just give us one word and we will destroy this city forever. And he said, of course, famously, that no, that some of their progeny may accept the faith Islam, so leave them, subhanallah, in such mercy. And the Mongols were defeated, you know, because of course they were an oppressive force, and Salahuddin took you know, many battles. He took the battle of Hattin in 1187, for example. So there's many things. Of course, the Quran was revealed in this month. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ became a Muslim in this month. So we're not, you know, on our own. I believe that Abu Bakr did, and I believe that, yes, of course, Khadija did, radiallahu anha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon all of those that accept the beautiful faith of Islam during this month. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. So
I'm just going to jump in if I can, because
yes, I would like you to.
Barakallah feek. Although that was an opening for me in Ramadan, I had a feeling of just such warmth, of such connection. But I wasn't ready. My heart wasn't ready, and Allah Ta'ala knows and guides us and gives us multiple options and choices. So if you're watching and you're not Muslim, you know, or if you're a Muslim, maybe you're fasting and not praying, know that all the time Allah Ta'ala is calling you back to him. And it's how, but don't turn your back on those times, because when you embrace them, the opening is vast and full of joy, and it's a coming home. And if you can imagine that the Lord of the universe is taking time to bother with you or bother with me. I was looking at ants a couple of days ago in my cupboard, and because I'm an actor, I'm a trained actor, darling. Although I've only done it a few times in the last couple of years, long story. But I often put on voices for ants. So when ants are in my cupboard, I imagine them as a battalion, like, come on, Freddie, we're going to take the honey this time. Come on, chaps. And then there's like a squadron if you squash them, and it's really, and I don't like it because it's like Tommy's gone, dear Tommy, poor old Tommy's bought it, go and get it, go and get the body. Anyway, so that's me imagining it. Why did I bring that in? Because we're like ants, because we have those power over those ants at that time, and we can either kind of I don't know what we do, brush them away if you're feeling really kind, or just ignore them for another day and they get another day to exist. We have the ultimate power at that moment. But taking care about an ant is if we're being given these openings from Allah Ta'ala, Lord of everything, Lord of all that is, the beginning and the end. And he's taking a moment to have us pause and ask him. That's huge. I mean, that's enormous. What kind of, it's like, imagine an ant going, no, I'm all right, thanks. You can bring your saucer down on my head, but I'm going to push it away. And it's like, swash, you're gone. So don't turn your back on those moments. So I did, but I didn't come to Islam. No. It was another 2 years when I was actually in Iran, and everyone's going to go, oh my God, you're Shia. I'm not Shia. No. I'll just say that. I have nothing against the brothers and sisters there. They have their own struggles, and there's good people everywhere, and Allah is where he wants to be. But it happened that I was protesting, I was covering a protest in Iran in Ramadan 2010. And I kept asking to go to a mosque. I had this feeling, whenever I heard the azan, I wanted to go into a mosque. And, you know, there's lots of secular people in Muslim, you know, in various cities around the world right now, yeah? And so there were secularists going, why do you want to go to a mosque? I'm like, well, isn't it Ramadan? Shouldn't you be taking me? I'm a visitor. And they're like, oh, we're not going. And it's like, okay. So then I started to feel really weird and discombobulated. That's a really long word that just means confused. But I did eventually get into a masjid in 2010 in Ramadan. And I told myself, right, I'm just coming in here to take some secret footage with my iPhone of Iranians praying, and then I'll put it in my bag and I can, you know, put it out there because nobody gets in here. I didn't want to do any harm to them, but it was just too good an opportunity to miss, right? But that's not what happened, subhanAllah. What happened is when I sat down in the mosque, I felt this immense peace, like a waterfall pouring over me, subhanallah azim. And I thought, I forgot who I was. At that moment, I forgot my name. I forgot I existed. And it was the best feeling that you could ever have, not to exist. And I asked my friend Nargis, can I sleep on the floor of the mosque? And she said, okay. And I slept on the floor of the mosque that night because I had a realization that all the problems in this world we make, and that we're actually, all of the peace is out there. Peace is waiting for us. Peace is inviting us. And we are making these issues in our minds and issues around us with our hands. And the next morning I prayed Fajr. And when I got outside the mosque, after about 12 hours, that's when my conscious mind said, you can't be Muslim, you can't be one of them. You're not you're a black penguin bobbing up and down. You can't give up alcohol. You can't stop eating bacon. You like bacon and eggs, and you like having men friends, and then my heart just told me, you know, stop. Whatever this is, go on as you always have been, and you'll be okay. And alhamdulillah, shukrullah, I was, but not in the way that I expected, because the feeling was so profound that 7 days later, at the end of Ramadan 2010, I walked into a mosque in London, and I said the words of opening, I testify there is no God but Allah alone and without partners, and I testify that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the last and final prophet. And then I can say that my life began.
SubhanAllah, that's a beautiful account of your story, Lauren, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our brothers and sisters to understand that the Quran is an evidential miracle, that the Prophet Muhammad peace and blessings be upon him, of course, is a guide to mankind. If everybody was to know this man, nobody would leave him. No one would leave him at all. And so there you are. All three of us basically got to the faith of Islam in the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. So what are we going to talk about after that? I'm kind of struggling now. You know, discombobulated? Yeah, let's do it. Anyone out there who feels inclination to set their soul free and basically, you know, really to understand what the purpose of life is, Lauren, what would you advise them? Because I think this is your story. This is your time.
SubhanAllah. We sense when we're not praying, we sense that there is so much more to existence that we're not quite touching. And we sense that the things we're doing are the addictions that hold us. The things to do with the lower self. What are those things? So it might be that you have multiple partners. Is that healthy physically? Is it healthy emotionally? What do we do to other people when we don't respect their feelings? So that can be a form of addiction, that sensuality. Or it can be an addiction to fame, to wanting to be loved by other people, that, you know, needing to climb the corporate ladder for some reason in order to get known. What does that do to us? Because at the end of the day, we all have to look into the mirror and see ourselves and say, I'm still just me. I mean, I tasted that fame thing between 1997 and 2010 for 13 years. I was in that world. And there are times when, you know, we mustn't confuse fun for accomplishment, entertainment for a meaningful life. It reminds me of the end of Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Have I not entertained you with my blood? It's meaningless. It's visceral. It's kind of dirty and pointless. But yeah, you can be entertained. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're still crying alone in the bathroom mirror, saying, I don't want to get up. Or when you wake up in the morning, you might be having that moment of just staring at the ceiling and saying, I don't want to do it today, and I don't know why I should. I don't get it. I have no meaningful relationships, no meaningful connections, and my work. You know, we make work our lives because the machinery of this dunya, the corporations are telling us that that's what life is about, because they want us to work as a battery for their machine. It's not because it's fulfilling. There's nobody on their deathbed. Anybody who's watched somebody on their deathbed, have they said to you, come closer, I wish I'd worked more at the office? Never happened, right? Literally never happened. It'll be, come closer, I'm sorry, tell her I'm sorry, I love you. Where is God? What is, so put yourself at that moment. If I were to leave this existence today, if I was to go, what have I left behind, and what am I going to, and what's it been for? And the least you owe yourself, your soul, your very being, is to look for the answers to those questions.
Yes, that's beautifully put, beautifully put. And everyone has to have that spiritual journey, and they have to find themselves. It's not the responsibility of a person with a sword bearing down on their neck saying, look, you either accept faith or you die. It doesn't happen that way, because obviously they're going to say, yeah, I'm a Muslim. And then afterwards they're just do their own thing, right? Or whatever the faith is. So obviously Islam didn't get spread by the sword, subhanallah. Lauren, so there are many people out there that are thinking, well, yes, I do need to go on that spiritual journey, but Islam is so maligned in the Western sense of the media term, or global media now, because it's Western global now. What would you say to those people? Because they said Islam is, oppresses women, for example, and you can talk about that issue, or that it seems to be incredibly violent as a way. What would you say to those people?
There's actually more people as well, Brother Yusuf. Maybe you're watching this, you're one of those who, it's not even about Islam. It's about, why should I join a cult, a group? I don't care what they call themselves. I just don't want to be in an organization that calls themselves a religion. And we all we can understand where that comes from the Christian context, because they spent hundreds of years fleeing from a very aggressive doctrine, which really subjugated women, which really meant they had no ownership of their lives, which really hid people from, no, don't learn to read. You don't have any right to the Bible. Go to your learned people. Buy your way out of heaven if you're lucky enough to have money. It was a horrible use of a beautiful doctrine from Christ, from Jesus. We're, as Muslims, let's just be perfectly clear about this. We praise and love Jesus. He's one of our guides and messengers to God, but we don't pray to him. He's not a son of God, and he doesn't answer our prayers. But his teachings are really, really, really important. And his mother Maryam is the most sacred woman in the Holy Quran, subhanallah. So what I'd say is, if you're scared about coming to Islam, that's the wrong question. I'm not inviting you to Islam. I'm saying to you right now, and I say to myself every day, ask God to help you. Just seek God. Seek God. Ask him. This is such a beautiful, complex, incredible creation, with the way that the air's clear now, the way that even the bird's song touches our hearts. How is it that when we stroke a kitten, the hormones that are released give us hours of good feelings, and the kitten as well? That this universe, this creation, this beautiful world actually thrives on good deeds, not on wickedness. Show me. How do I come close to you and stop being depressed? Show me. That's the question to ask. Don't even come to Islam yet. Just speak to God.
What would you be doing, do you think, had you not embraced Islam? What would your life had been like, had you not? Of course, we can't say that you wouldn't have, because you have, but what do you think it would be like? Because I always often ask myself that question and feel it wouldn't have been so good.
So, Allah Ta'ala has given every human being good characteristics, as well as the ones that can take us into the difficult and dark places. So I know that my good characteristics of optimism and, by the grace of Allah, these characteristics are there, of course, and just guts would have got me through what would have been a very trying last decade. And I'll just tell you what I mean there, right? There's a difference between waking up and going, I can do this today. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to manage to pay the bills. I'm going to do what I have to with the kids. I'm going to, cope with the difficulties. I've had 2 divorces, would those have still been there? How much more would I have cried? How broken would, and there's doing things in a positive way, and there's being utterly broken by life until you become cynical. And I would have feared, more than any other cataclysm, a soft heart turning hard, because you see it in the elderly who have struggled with everyday life, and they hit a period in their 50s. There's the saying, you get the face you earn, and you look into people's faces and you're like, they're faces of hardship and unhappiness and inner dislike and loathing for others. We mock, though, the grumpy old person, right? Some of that is just like, I don't want to do this today, don't get in my way, and I don't believe in anything anymore. I have friends from before who are 60 years old and still taking drugs. What does that look like? I think that's fun. They're full of self-loathing, hatred. And I had a friend of mine, a great guy in many ways. I just said to him, how are you yeah, are you okay? Why haven't you given up drugs? He said, what else is there? I said, come on, there's more to life. He said, literally, there isn't more to life. I'm just waiting for this rubbish to be over and I'm dead. So that is the fear that I would have had, that the joy and the hope by the impact, because you don't reach 50, right? I'm half a century old by the grace of Allah. You don't reach this age without being battered by life. Nobody. Nobody.
No.
So that would have been my fear.
Subhanallah. It's very, very, very beautiful and very profound, actually, Lauren. You know, so everyone out there that is feeling lonely or somehow, you know, feeling a bit of a stranger in this world, feeling they don't have actually a purpose, just know that everything created in this world has a purpose. A tree has a purpose. It has hundreds of purposes. Think about it. You know, from shade and beautification and fruit, and there's so many other things. Think about everything that's created, and everything that's created has a lifespan, has its own time, and even the sun is a middle-aged star which is going to die. Everything is going to die, and everything was created and everything was born, and then it will die. So think about that concept in life, and think about how you can come back to yourself, to your reality. You know, in your heart, in your you know, in the deepest heart, in your thoughts, that there has to be a purpose for mankind. And the Quran enunciates that clearly by saying, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that you were not created for any other purpose, O jinn and mankind, but to come back to your creator. Worship is a difficult term for us in the West. And, you know, I'm going to end it on that, but by saying that, but we are owned. We are not. We didn't bring ourselves. We didn't choose our own identity. We didn't choose our names. We didn't choose our families or the country we were born in. We have been put here by an entity, and that is a fact. You know, that is it. So focus on that. Like Lauren says, call unto the one that created all of that. Have a personal relationship with God and try to come back to yourself, inshallah. And I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows all of our brothers and sisters in humanity to see the sense in that, you know, solution, especially in this month of Ramadan. By the way, in the month of Ramadan, Ibn Rajab, and I'm just going to, this will be the end, he said that it wasn't just the Quran that was revealed, it was the Psalms of David. The Thamud was revealed in the month of Ramadan. The Injil was revealed in the month of Ramadan. This is something which Ibn Rajab, the great scholar, said. So believe me, it's humanity that's being guided in this month. And that's why you see 3 white Muslims, for want of a better word or a term, embracing the month, embracing the faith within this month. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us and to set us free from being prisoners in this world. We're just travelers. This is a path we're on. We're going to go, inshallah, all of us together. And we hope we will end up in the best of all places, which is Firdaus, the Jannah, which is our original home, if you know the stories. But we're not going to go into that.